7 Days to Die can be overwhelming to a new player, with its large open world and the endless possibilities within it. The purpose of this guide is to speed up your progress early on, without ruining any of the surprises that the game has in store for you later on. The first thing we need to choose is the type of game world we're going to play on. So I'm actually going to recommend starting with something like a pre-gen world. The 6K refers to the size of the world. It does go up to 10. I'd recommend sticking with 6. The larger maps will be a bit of a drain on performance. As far as the general, basic, and advanced settings, these can be changed at any point. I would recommend keeping them on the default for the most part, but if you hover over, it'll give you a description of what each setting does. So most of these I keep the same under general. Under basic, sometimes I'll change the zombie night speed from sprint down to run. And as you'll notice, whenever you change a setting from the default in white to something else, it'll turn it yellow. That way you kind of keep track of what's default and what you've altered. So now that I have all the settings set the way I like, we can start the new game. So once you load into a new world, press tab to open your inventory. So the inventory is empty. We have a few starter items on the bottom here. So if you look on the top right, you'll see the first thing we have to do is craft a bedroll. So I'm not going to go through every step in the opening tutorial, but here's a few things you need to know. For plant fibers, you just punch these little grass things. When you press tab, you'll have your crafting menu on the left here. So I'll press bedroll and craft that. Once the item is created, we can drag it down to the toolbar on the bottom, and we can right click to place it. Okay, and then we can press E again to pick that up. So we're not going to be sleeping here in the middle of nowhere, so we're going to pick up that bedroll. To get wood early on, just hit these small trees. Stone could be a little bit tricky, but they give you these nice little indicators now. Alright, and once you finish the initial tutorials, it'll prompt you to head to the trader. So my trader is 150 meters that way. And if I press M, I can see it on the map here. So I'm going to head over there in a second, but the first thing I'm going to do is press tab and go up to my skills on the top. And then I'm going to pick out the first 4 skills for the game. So what I typically use first is I'll go into Sexual Tyrannosaurus. So I'll put a point into that. That's going to reduce our stamina usage, so that's helpful no matter what you're doing in the game. I also do like putting a point into Healing Factor, because that will passively regenerate our health, and it'll also make critical injuries heal a bit quicker too. Master Chef is a good idea too, because that's going to allow you to cook a few different recipes early on. And I also like cardio early game, because that's going to help our stamina regen, especially when we're sprinting. In the early game, you're running around a lot on foot, so the stamina regen when it comes to sprinting is very helpful. So here we are at the first trader station here. So let's head in, and we're going to talk to the trader and get our first mission. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to ask her, do you have any jobs? And as you can see, you get a few different choices here. Early game, I'm going to recommend going to whichever one's closer. So we have a clear zombies, and that's only 68 meters away to the west. There's also a fetch mission, which is a little bit farther away. Definitely go with the closest ones. The only ones I would steer clear from early on is the buried supplies, because those require you digging in a certain area, and that can take a while early on in the game. So stick with either the fetch or the clear missions. Sometimes you'll get a combination of the two, but stick with those. Once you do 7 of these tier 1 missions, you'll be given the option for a reward. One of the rewards will be a bicycle. So once you get the bicycle, you'll be cruising around town a lot quicker. So definitely aim to get 7 of these tier 1 quests completed as soon as you can. So I'm going to do this one here. And if I press M and zoom in, yeah, we can see the quest is literally right next door to us. So it can't be any closer. Before I leave here and do that quest, I am going to just loot a few of these stations. So you can't attack any of the structures. They're all pretty much impervious to damage. But you can loot most of this stuff. Once you've talked to the trader and you've picked out your first mission, you can clear out that mission area and make your base there. Yeah, see, I don't like this place because it's only 1 level. I want to find a place with at least 2 levels, so Here I have a nice house, kind of in a central area. It's right next to the trader. But the other thing I like to have it near is a body of water. So it looks like here on the map we have some blue, which indicates a water source. So that's good. So I'm near a trader and I'm near a water source. So I think I'm going to head up to this house. I'm going to clear it out real quick. And then I'm going to show you how to build your first makeshift base. Okay, so I've just cleared out the first house I was looking at. So I'm going to lay down a few things to start my base here. The first two are going to be the land claim block, as well as the bedroll we made earlier. So these two things are going to make it so that no enemies spawn within a certain perimeter around this house. And then the bedroll will allow us to respawn here in case we happen to die somewhere else. So we've got those two things down. We'll also want to add a campfire. This is going to allow us to cook a lot of the early recipes that we have. So the campfire is where you're going to boil all your water. If you go over to a blue body of water like you see on the map here, and you fill up an empty glass jar with murky water, you can then bring it to the campfire and boil that murky water into boiled water, which you can then drink. You could also use the boiled water to make the boiled meat. So with the boiled meat, you need the raw meat, unboiled water, and you also need a cooking pot. But once you have this, the boiled meat will refill your food, your water, your stamina, as well as your health. So it's a pretty complete resource. So definitely start making this as soon as possible. And we'll also want to put down some storage. So early on, you'll want to make the secure storage chest. So I have one here. I'm just going to put it right there for now. Now we can drop off some stuff that we don't need. As you're out looting and doing missions, you'll also want to keep any ammo that you find and keep any pipes and glue as well. That way you can craft pipe weapons and guns. Have all the guns you find loaded and equipped in case you need them quick. You'll also want to harvest any animals that you see. That way you can stock up on your raw meat and you can cook with it. Early on though, you'll want to beware of different animals. If you can fight them from a higher ground. That way you can hit them without being hit. Even something like a pig could be deadly early game because they do run very quickly, and if they kind of pin you down, they're going to kill you. Also, when you're first starting out, don't worry about stocking up on tons of wood or stone. Only mine the stone and wood and other materials that you need at that moment, and leave the stockpiling for other points in the game. Later on, you'll get better tools and perks that will increase your mining efficiency. For example, once you level up the Mother Lode perk, you'll be harvesting 100% more ore, stone, etc. than you did at the start of the game. This, coupled with the fact that you'll have much better tools along with it, means you'll be mining many times more efficiently than you can from day one. That being said, if you come across a lot of items, let's say this empty can, even if you don't need the empty can, just press S when you're looking at it, and it'll automatically scrap the iron for you and put it in your inventory. You can do this with most items, so there's no real reason to ever leave an item on the ground unless you absolutely don't need it or your inventory's full and you don't want to be bogged down by that item. There are an endless amount of ways to play this game, so don't be afraid to experiment and play it the way you want to play it. As always, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below if you have any questions about 7 Days to Die. Thank you, and I'll see you next time.